When I ask the question, who is Wesley? The answer seems obvious enough. He's the owner of Panda Bear guns, the guy who'll sell upgraded weapons to York after dark. Is that really all there is to him, though? Maybe not. Let's start with what we know about Wesley. He's probably not from Greenvale, but he's decided to set up shop there. Almost no one in town seems to know he exists. Polly mentions a gunsmith when discussing the shops in town, and 2 other characters mention him in passing during their side stories. But that's it. He personally abhors violence and weapons, but he makes his living working with them. He's absolutely obsessed with the trading cards that York finds around town.
I'd love to take a look at the cards you have. I won't take them from you. And I'll give you something, depending on how many you show me.
You'll pay me just to look at my cards. You really must be a card freak, huh?
His shop is only open after nearly everything else in town is closed. In a town with a population that is famously shy about going out after dark, he justifies the existence of his small town shop by claiming that most of his business is done via mail order.
If you got the skills, the customers find you. All you need is a network.
Despite this, he's quick to set up a stand at the theater during a town meeting, just in case someone, specifically York, needs some weapons on the way in or out of it. While it's entirely reasonable to suspect that some of Wesley's strange quirks are down to him being a video game character who has to serve a gameplay-related purpose, I suspect that's not the whole story. The game isn't coy, after all, about putting video game-related mechanics into Greenvale. The town is full of floating badges that award York with Agent Honor, after all. If there had been gun-selling vending machines all over town, no one would have given it much thought. Instead, the developers chose to assign a character to the role of weapon salesman, but didn't fully integrate him into the world of the game. Wesley's there, and he has a store, but everything about it is strange. There's nothing keeping the developers from, had they wanted to, just putting a gun store in the main drag along with the milk barn and A&G diner. Wesley could have gotten lunch and driven around town, hanging out with various other characters and getting involved in side stories, just like all the other characters do. None of that happens, though. He's a character that no one talks about or talks to, working at a store with nonsensical hours, and a hobby that completely breaks the reality of the game world. Nothing about Wesley makes sense. So is he a poorly thought out late addition to the cast? Or are all of the odd discordant things about him trying to say something? Given how little he's talked about or referenced, Wesley is as much of a non-entity as Brian the Insomniac. And let's not forget that Brian the Insomniac is a literal ghost. So what's going on with Wesley? Why is he so mysterious and nonsensical? Simple. He's not human. It's my theory that Wesley is an agent of the White Room. Now I know that sounds instantly strange. After all, the White Room's whole thing is that it doesn't interfere with the world unless the Red Room does something first. And even then, interventions are few and far between. Then again, Wesley doesn't actually interfere with the real world, does he? It's at this point that it's important to talk about how weapons work in the world of Deadly Premonition. While some weapons have ammo that must be refreshed by discovering or purchasing it, and melee weapons break quickly, a not insignificant percentage of the game's weapons have infinite ammo and durability. How is this possible? Simple. All of the shooting in the game takes place on a spiritual plane. York is not literally walking around houses, museums, and bars firing his gun at nothing. The guns he uses are just psychic projections. This explains why York's default handgun has unlimited ammo. It's his personal firearm, and he's been using it for years. He feels comfortable with it, as if it's an extension of himself, and that reliability shows in the fact that in the Otherworld sequences it never runs out of ammo. Weapons that York finds or buys, things that he has no connection to, they can run out of ammo and let him down. But weapons that he works for, ones that he has to go through some degree of ordeal in order to obtain, these are meaningful to York, and as a consequence, when he imagines them in the other world, they all have unlimited ammo and durability. When I first came up with this theory about infinite weapons, it felt like a bit of a stretch, and so you can imagine my relief when the handgun in Deadly Premonition 2 essentially confirmed that no weapons are actually fired in the Otherworld sequences, and that it's all psychic projections. So if all of the weapons have this spiritual aspect to them, doesn't it make sense that the character most associated with weapons would have a spiritual aspect as well? That's just the first piece of evidence, though. The more important bit is Wesley's obsession with trading cards. For this, we have to ask the question, what exactly are the trading cards? Obviously, they're not real pieces of paper in the game world. After all, who would be making them? The only thing that makes sense is if they're psychic mementos, records of York's journey and all of the people he meets during his adventure. They're rewards for exploration, excellence at minigames, and completing the most difficult combat scenarios. This essentially makes them literal representations of York's experiences. And if that's what they are, why is Wesley so obsessed with them? It's well established within the game that the Red Room's influence is heavy in Greenvale. The aftermath of Kaysen's massacre left the barrier between the real world and the other world weak, which explains the town's problems with zombies and demon dogs. So what if Wesley is an agent of the White Room, dispatched to monitor the area? Like all White Room agents, he's not allowed to interfere with it, just keep an eye on the town. If that's the case, the thing he would prize most would be information about goings-on around Greenvale, which is exactly what York offers him in the form of the trading cards. This theory even justifies the increasing levels of rewards that Wesley gives the player as his collection is filled. The more Wesley learns about the town and what's happening there, the more extensive his help can be. One might ask, if he's an agent of the White Room, why is he affected by the purple gas? Remember, it's established that Harry is also an agent of the White Room, and he's susceptible to the gas, so there's no reason to suspect York's immunity is a universal trait. So that's the theory. Wesley is working for the White Room, learning about what's going on in Greenvale, and supplying York with assistance to help him stop it. It neatly explains his mysterious nature, obsession with trading cards, and the fact that he has a lightsaber. And let's not forget that the ultimate card, the most secret card of them all, the one with Swery on it, is found in the White Room, thus creating a direct link between the White Room and trading cards. I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for watching. If you found the video interesting, please remember to like and subscribe. There's plenty of other deadly premonition analysis watchable here on the channel, and if there's a topic you'd like to see covered, please let us know in the comments section.